Hi guys, welcome back to Class Creative, the channel I set up to share free art tips and lessons. Today I am working with acrylic paint, demonstrating 5 different ways a fan brush can be used. If you haven't clicked the red subscribe button yet, please kindly do so to show your support in the videos I make for my viewers free of charge. The set of brushes I am using here are the Graduate Daler-Rowney range. These are suitable for watercolour, oils and acrylic paint. I personally would recommend them for their versatility and quality. To simplify things for you guys, I'm just going to be doing a video on each of my different brush styles each week and also educating you how to use them. The first technique I'm going to introduce you guys to is how to create grass or grassy pastures using a fan blender brush. Here I'm mixing my own green using just the primary colours blue and yellow. I'm using a flat brush here just to apply a base of colour, and the important thing is to mention that you need at least 2 different green tones here. I'm mixing up a darker green and a slightly lighter green, and you need to apply quite liberally your paint so it's thick enough to be able to create that brush mark effect when it comes to using the fan brush. Once you've applied that in a fairly thick way, then you're going to use your brush to push the paint in the directions that you want your grass to be. You can also use your other hand to steady the paintbrush as you create your effects, and for a greater contrast you can also throw in some lightness. It could be in the form of yellow or a touch of white, but the greater the contrast between your tones, the more it's going to show up. And also, if you have a larger fan brush or a slightly smaller fan brush, you can work between the two to create perspective with the larger marks in the foreground and the smaller marks in the background. For the second technique, we're going to do a water sparkle. So what you want to do is grab a base colour of blue, dark blue, medium blue, any type of blue you want, and use the flat brush to apply a small square or rectangle for your next little swatch. Once that's partially dry, I would mix up a light blue and use the fan brush to load your paintbrush, and then we're going to do a stippling effect. So a stippling effect is where you're gently dabbing your bristles down directly above, just like I'm doing here, and then you can also flick the outsides as well to create a nice sort of wispy effect of water ripples. The third technique I'm going to show you is how to create hair. So obviously, looking at this image here, this is of a collie, and it's one of my lovely students that comes to me. This is a personal project of hers. We basically had to apply first, of course, an underpainting, and with hair there are many different layers, especially if you're creating animal fur. So here I'm applying 2 tones of brown, and you can see that I'm just again liberally applying that with the flat head brush. You can also build up a little bit more darkness using a touch of black, and then later on go in with some highlights with a bit of white, mixing white. Here I'm using the fan brush while the paint is still wet to gently just tease that paint into each other. And to make the illusion of hair and fur, it's really important to have contrast, so 2 different tones of colour blending over the top of each other. Try not to overdo it, gentle wisps as I'm doing here, and you can see that I'm just having flicks of the paintbrush. Another thing that one of my recent classes came into realise was that not a lot of hair tends to grow perfectly straight. So here you can see that I'm slightly curving my brush marks to create a more organic looking feel. For our fourth technique today, we're going to look at how to create a tree. I've actually switched to a slightly smaller fan brush here because I wanted to create smaller shapes. And I'm using the stippling technique again, like we did with the water sparkle technique, which is just gently dabbing the bristles onto the brush, and I'm also angling them and twisting the brush slightly between my fingers to alter the angle that I want the branches to be. At the moment it looks fairly flat because I've just used one tone of green, but now I'm going to mix in some slightly darker tones, so you can mix in a dark green or even browns, and you can really build up as many branches as you would like. And then to finish that off, I would use a lighter tint, mixing a bit of mixing white into that to create a 3D look towards the center of the tree here. Really nice effect. I love this one personally myself, and yeah, have fun with it. And you can switch between different sizes of fan brushes if you want to create different shapes of tree. The final technique I'm going to show you guys is a water cascade, which could be used for an ocean wave or a waterfall. And you see here I'm using a flat shader brush just to apply the background paint colours. I'm using 3 tones of blue, so the darkest I'm just applying, and then to make a slightly lighter blue I've added a bit of mixing white, and then finally on the top I'm going to add a very light blue, which was mixed with even more mixing white. And then to create the cascading water effect, we need to dip the fan brush in white, and we're going to drag that lightest tone, lightest colour or white, over the top of the 3 tones while it's still wet, so that you get that contrast. Very important to mention here, do not over wipe your fan brush. If you do so, you will end up with a muddy mix of colour. What we want is that clear clarity of the bristles and brush strokes. So I also, as I said with the fur, try not to move your brush in a up and down motion, vertical motion. You want to aim for a nice soft curve if possible. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video and got something out of it. If you have, please like and leave a comment. Here is a quick overview of the 5 techniques that we have learned today. If you found this video useful, guys, please hit that red subscribe button because it should. If you find this video helpful, please hit the red subscribe button, guys. It really supports me in the channel and it really motivates me to make more videos for you free of charge. I really hope to share. If you found this video useful, please kindly hit the red subscribe button, and I look forward to sharing in the next video with you guys the filbert brush mark making paint techniques.